is a beautiful Saturday afternoon, lovely campus of LKY School of Public Policy, one of my favorite places in Singapore. It's very quiet, green. And I'm here with one of our gorgeous and very supportive mentors, Josephine Tan, whom I call Jo with love. And Jo has been one of the most supportive mentors of vLookUp. And we are here together just to chat about how it is to be like women, how it is to be like women who are career oriented, women who are leaders, and women who are mentors and who believe in mentoring and helping and supporting each other. So Jo, cheers over the cup of coffee.
Okay, so thank you for inviting me to be part of this series. I've been working in digital for 25 years now. I started way back in the late 1990s during the first dot-com boom, and it has been a very, very exciting journey. I dived right into digital, and the constant changes in the industry is what keeps me going because there's never a down moment. Things that I knew back then have evolved so much. I'm constantly having to learn, to experiment so that I can keep up, and this constant evolution, I think, is what drives me going forward to continue to stay in the digital industry and to continue to do more.
So you mentioned about digital and the time you came in life. Digital was very different than it is today. And one of the areas that I hear from most of my young mentees is that they are looking for digital, and there's a huge demand for mentors in the digital space. So what top 3 tips you would like to give to any mentee who is planning to enter into digital world or who has been there, and how should they consolidate and grow in this area?
I think that digital is a very broad term, and it's a very broad digital it's very broad in terms of what it constitutes. Currently in my role, I manage digital end-to-end, and that goes from marketing with media, CRM, all the way to data management as well as e-commerce. So digital is so much, a part of our lives today that it is very hard for us to divorce it from any functions that we know in the traditional sense. And I think that for the people who are in digital now or looking to move into digital, the one thing definitely to keep in mind is change. That they must have a very adaptive mindset to always be able to embrace change, because that's the only constant in the digital industry.
True.
Yeah, and second is don't be afraid to just experiment and fail. Because a lot of the new technologies or the new ways of doing things are new, and as a result, no one knows from the get-go what is the correct way. So there will constantly be evolution. So for example, for a while, marketers were told to go very granular with data collection, data tracking, and therefore you must be able to account for every single dollar spent. But that's all changed right now, because in the last 10 years, data privacy, the personal data privacy of consumers has moved to the forefront, and that changed the entire industry. And that's going to change further when Web3 comes along and goes mainstream. So one, accept that change is always going to be a part of life. Second, don't be afraid to experiment, explore, and fail. And third is understand what is it that you're truly passionate about, because digital is so broad. Find an area that you love and then just become an expert in it. So that would be my advice to anyone who are in digital and looking to go into digital.
Thank you so much. That's yesterday only I was talking to someone, and we concluded that these days there are no mistakes, there are no failures. There are only learnings, and there are reflections, and there are breakthroughs.
Yes.
Jo, so much is being talked about women in STEM these days, and so what do you think has changed since you joined technology, and today when you see women in tech space? Has anything changed significantly? And also, do you still encounter biases for women in STEM even today?
I think that there are definitely more women in STEM today. I think when I started maybe over 20 years ago, the role of women in STEM industry would be primarily sales. right? So women are put more into a sales position to be able to sell the technology to clients because it's deemed as more softer in skills, account servicing, right? Understanding the client's needs. I think that has shifted a lot now. I think, recent stats for Singapore stated that over 40% of the industry for STEM or in tech is made up by women. So I think that's very, very encouraging. But that is something that still needs to be improved. Because when I first started, I was very, very lucky in that I met team members, team leaders who were very encouraging. But that was not always the case because there was always a perception that women would be more into graphic design, video, more creative, right?
Because we have left side more developed.
yes. And now I think it's very much more accepting and more encouraged that women go into coding, go into invention, going into more development type of work, engineering. And I think that change has to start from our education system and at home really, really young. So this change that we're seeing in the industry is a result of efforts in the last 20 years. But for us to go further, it needs to go even deeper and younger, where girls at a very young age feel encouraged to pursue their interest in science, in technology or math or anything else, and that it isn't boys who are playing with Lego sets. It isn't boys who are playing with trains, but I as a girl can do that because I have a logical, rational, engineering mind that allows me to do that. And I think that schools or families encouraging that will help shape the industry moving forward. And I am very, very happy to say that, in the work that I've done in the last 20 years, I have seen definitely changes in how women are being treated in the industry, that there is more positivity, there's more respect for women in the STEM fields.
More acceptance as well.
Yes.
And also more career growth.
Yes. I think the corporate agenda definitely helps, and this is something that regulatory bodies, governments, industries have to help propagate.
Everyone has a role to play.
Yes.
The entire ecosystem has to gear towards it, and the entire ecosystem has to encourage that, as you said, right from schools and education system, that girls should be coding, and girls should be in technology space to career opportunities, to acceptance. Every bit helps.
Yes.
Okay, so that's very encouraging, Joe, and I do see a really, really positive trend and encouraging trend. But what still bothers me is what we call the hollowing of the talent pipeline. We see a large number of women graduating in STEM subjects, and at entry level we still find a good proportion of women in STEM subjects or STEM fields. But as they progress through, you start seeing the numbers tapering at mid-level and senior level. And hence, we still find, at least in the senior level positions, not enough women in the field of STEM. So what do you think is causing this hollowing of the pipeline, this tapering at the mid and senior level positions?
I would say that this is not unique to the STEM industry. I think that this goes back to the role and the expectations put on women by society, because often at the mid-career level is when a woman probably needs to decide, does my family come first or does my career come first? And very frequently the expectation is laid on the woman that she should be the one to make the sacrifice, rightly or wrongly. I think this then lends itself to a problem that's very prevalent in a lot of industries, including STEM, which is how do women come back into the workforce after having taken time off? And sometimes because the STEM industry moves so fast that they feel left behind and less confident. And we know that women typically, they will look at the job description and say, do I meet all the criteria?
Yeah.
If I've not got a check 10 on 10, I will not apply for a job.
Perhaps 20 on 10 check.
Yeah, so that itself becomes very challenging because women place so much, high expectations on themselves, the accountability, the credibility, as well as a lot of them also don't think about what the messaging, the personal branding is. So to come back into the workforce, say after a 4, 5, 10-year break, you need to have an identity. And that identity has been lost, in the years of having to focus on family instead. And I think for women who are looking to grow, having taken that path, then they need to look at personal branding and how
Yeah.
they refresh and change the industry. So don't stay fixated on what you were doing. Look at how the industry has changed and what you might want to do next. The other aspect for women who's not gone down this path, then frequently the I would say a potential reason is again visibility. So for women coming back and women who stay in the field, a very similar problem is visibility. To be able to identify yourself as a leader rather than a doer. Because women, I'm generalizing, but we tend to be fixers. So which means we are problem fixers that then don't get seen as being of leadership type, where you don't have to necessarily do the work yourself, but you need to be able to charge a vision and pull people along. So I think that mindset change and the ability to provide women with the mentorship and the training and guidance to move them up, the ladder is something that's very important to addressing this as well.
Yes, absolutely. So on the concept of mentoring, let's change the location
Yeah.
and stand and look at
Look
these
at the
beautiful
trees.
trees. So you talked about women coming back to work or taking break. And one of the things that happens when women take break is the erosion of confidence, not just because the trends have changed, the skills have changed, but also the self-belief goes down. And that's where mentoring can play a huge role. And one of the areas vLookUp is very passionate about is how do we help women come back to work. So help me share your perspective on that. And do you see that today organizations are really playing an active role in bringing women back to work? Or that's an area still kind of a lot needs to be done?
I think a lot more can be done to support women coming back to work. And I think that what you said about self-confidence is so important because it's the voices in the head.
Yeah.
All of us, whether we have continued to work or whether we've taken a break, the voices in our heads are so loud, and I think it's louder and more defeating when you've spent time away. And so having your personal board of cheerleaders, really your band of cheerleaders who are there to listen to you, to be able to cheer you on and guide you is extremely important. And I think for women looking to make a return to the workforce, that's what they need. This has to be coming from their friends, their families, as well as their mentors. And I think mentors come from a perspective of being a neutral party, was not, your friend or your family who might have a personal bias, but being able to give you that, I would say neutral lens to boost your confidence even more in returning to the workforce.
Yes, absolutely. And the more we bring, the more it creates a success story for others. It becomes inspiring for other women also to think that yes, I can make a comeback. Because often I've seen in case of women, having a role model helps. When they see someone else has done that, it creates a different spark in them. Like often people ask me, oh, how do you manage flexible career? And I'm like, yeah, one can do that. It's just that you have to define what is your definition of career is. And there are these days, in last 1 year, I have come across 3 women who reached out to me and said, Kanchana, based on your example, I have reached out to my employer and they agreed to give me a part-time or a flexible work. So that's where the role models, the mentors and success examples are very, very important for us to create, for others to see and emulate and boost their confidence.
Yes, absolutely. And I also think that, with women coming back to the workforce, helping them to provide a support system of how to look for a job, how to go through the application process, interview process, also very much practical skills that's required, which I think that, as a nation, Singapore or any other countries can do its part to help, bring women back into the workforce from the softer support rather than just also hard skills upgrading.
That's true. And actually those soft skills play a far more important role than hard skills, because once you have that confidence, learning hard skills, okay, people have learned and multi-skilled
Yes.
themselves and very successfully. So those soft skills and especially how do we create an encouraging ecosystem? Like right from mentors to family to employers to society, everybody,
Yeah.
how do we create that encouraging ecosystem? That becomes very, very crucial.
I think it's a very, very important piece of information that everyone should know about, which is just being good at your job is not good enough. You need to be able to learn to communicate what you've done and the value of the work that you have done, because that's what's important for the organization to understand and for you to be able to move forward in your career and to get supporters. So for me, I have been very lucky in that my peers, my line managers have always been able to just champion the work that I was doing. But if I did not have them, I don't think that I would have advanced as I did if I did not have them to champion me when I'm not around, when I'm not in the conversation, and they saw the value, and this is something that they then shared back to me much later in my life to say that all this is actually very important. And I would encourage or everyone, men, women, starting their career, to be very conscious of the fact that you need to be able to share and communicate and articulate very well the value of the work that you have done.
So, Jo, of course, I have to talk about vLookUp. Why not? Yeah. Again, we spoke about women not talking enough about the value they are creating and things that they do. So, in that spirit, of course, I'm going to promote vLookUp and talk about it. No, jokes aside, tell me, how did you get to know about vLookUp, and what inspired you to join vLookUp?
I got to know about vLookUp through my work with the Singapore Computer Society Women in Tech chapter on mentorship. And you were a very strong supporter. You've come in to talk about mentorship and providing the platform for all to come together to be able to be a mentee, be a mentor. So that was very encouraging, and that's how I got to know about vLookUp. And once I started, I managed to meet a few mentees that were very, very, I would say, interesting. So I have loved being a part of their journey in being able to share my learnings, my experiences with them, and it's really up to them to decide what they want to do with the information. It's not about force feeding your way of thinking or your experiences on someone, but providing that spectrum for them to be able to take and understand, okay, this set of information is relevant for me at this point in time, and this is what I should do with it. And I think that vLookUp provides an equalizer in that, because very frequently networking and having access to mentors is who you know. But
Yes.
with vLookUp as a platform, everyone, anyone can have access to it, and I think that's the beauty of it.
That's the vision behind it, that how do we break that access barrier and give access to a mentor to any woman to any part of the world who's looking for one. And you mentioned about Singapore Computer Society Women in Tech chapter, and I would, on camera, I would like to express my gratitude, Singapore Computer Society Women in Tech chapter, because many of my passionate mentors are part of that community. You, Eileen, Serene, all of them, and I'm very, very thankful. Not only you guys are passionate mentors, you guys are super champions and sponsors of vLookUp. So that's because we all connect dots and we all inspire, and it's very heartening for me to share that today we have 173 mentors and 600 plus mentees across 24 countries. So with that vision, so every bit of support, every bit of passion from mentors like you goes a long way. And what we're also realizing is that the mentoring sessions are also giving them confidence to try something different, to go for a job after a break, or not to get too disheartened once they've lost their jobs. That has happened in case of a couple of mentees. And mentors have really helped them during that phase, how to prepare for interviews, how to go for, and connecting the dots and introducing them to others. So thank you so much for that. And I hope you will continue spreading the good word about vLookUp and definitely every time I meet you, I know you are actively mentoring somebody. You are never out of your mentoring job at vLookUp. That one thing I just love, and the whole spirit of giving that you bring, that inspires me as well, Joy.
Thank you very much. And the very fact that you're doing this on your own initiative, I think that speaks volumes to the mission that you're on and trying to make a change. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I'm at that stage of life where I'm reflecting on the meaning of life. I'm going through the psychological and spiritual and philosophical crisis stage and asking what is the purpose of human life. No, I mean, that's on the lighter side. But I think I've realized with vLookUp the power of purpose. It is so beautiful to have a vision and a purpose, and it kind of creates an amazing sense of energy that I have to get up and do that because this is what my purpose is. But as I always say that I only created the platform. The soul of the platform are my mentors and my mentee, Nina, who is shooting us here right now. Very, very supportive. And that's what creates. And these days I often tell people that yes, vLookUp is a tech platform, but vLookUp is also a community. It's becoming a global community, a community of people who believe in lifting each other and giving each other. And I must thank you from my heart for being a part of that community who believes in lifting each other up.